Good morning. You're listening to Drinking Socially, the official Untappd podcast.
Your weekly look into what's happening in the Untappd community and the world of beer. This episode is brought to you by Untappd and the Untappd store. Use coupon code PODCAST to get 20% off your next purchase. That's coupon code podcast, store.untappd.com. Treat yourself and save some dough. And there we go. You get an extra life and win the level. And remember, like, subscribe, find our houses on Google Maps, all the normal social media stuff. It helps us keep this show going and allows me to invest in ice, which is not an acronym. I mean frozen water that will take the place of crypto as the currency of the future when that crashes in 2023. Ice is it, y'all. So like, subscribe, all that stuff. But now let's go to the present, or maybe quickly to the past with John. In today's episode, what's happening?
I want to stick around till I can't see straight. Fill my eyes with that double vision. Has Fortner been talking about double IPA since 1978?
Wow.
Maybe. I mean, remember those commercials back in the 90s for Double Mint Gum, Double Mint, double your pleasure, double your fun, or double talk, like when breweries tell you this beer may have some minor side effects like turning Gandhi into a robot. All of those double puns that I'm doing a bad job of representing. None of them are on this podcast, except for maybe the robot one. We're talking about doubling the ingredients in your beer and doubling the outcome. And a little history note for those of you planning on appearing on Jeopardy! Or anyone that's a fan of Pliny the Elder, there's actually a really cool story about the original double IPA, which is often credited to Vinny and the team at Blind Pig Brewery, who later went on to become a majority part of the team at Russian River Brewery. And they created this kind of small step that led to more powerful IPAs from the West Coast. Then we saw breweries like Rogue and Stone, and soon the whole country following step to get their own 2X IPA on the shelf, and it actually eventually got its own category at the Great American Beer Fest in 2003. Like so many inventions, we talked about the Icebox before. The rumor is that Vinny accidentally added too much mash into his upcoming beer, and rather than tossing it, he just ran with it and created something that would eventually help promote craft beer in America on every shelf in the country. That's a neat story about Pliny the Elder by proxy and turning an accident into a great thing. But Harrison, do I need to drink a double IPA to earn the badge on today's show?
You do not. So today's 2X or 2 times or double badge, I've heard it called a lot of different things, is pretty cool in that the style itself isn't the only factor here. It's not limited just to double IPAs or Imperial IPAs or 2X IPAs, however you want to call them. It's really Imperial anything. So the description on Untappd, it kind of suggests that. It says when a single isn't enough, make it a double. Doubling the hops and malt in a recipe results in a higher ABV and can pack quite a boozy punch. 5 different beers with the style that it contains, Imperial or double in the style name, will help you unlock the next level of this badge. So that's the key there. This is an Imperial or double something. So yeah, IPA is easy. It's what we're going to do today. But Imperial Stout, Imperial Pumpkin Ale, which I saw on the list today as I was reviewing everything. There are obviously tons of beers that have a double or Imperial counterpart to them. So you can unlock this badge a variety of different ways. And sometimes it's one of those badges that sometimes surprises me. I'll be having like an Imperial, stout and it pops up and whatnot, and maybe I'm not expecting it. So it's cool like that. It's a little bit different. But that's the key, folks. We'll have the double IPA today, but you don't need to have a double IPA if you're malt fan, maybe a lager fan, an Imperial Pilsner. That's a style.
Yeah, it is. It exists. And that's without getting too granular. No one wants to listen to us talk about beer, but when we say double in today's world, you might think of double dry hops, but when you say
Right.
double IPA or double stout or imperial stout,
Yep.
is that basically, Harrison, just is that an easy way for me to tell that there's a certain ABV on this in this can?
Yeah, yes, exactly right. And I mean, it is sometimes a little bit different based on the style, but you're pretty safe to assume that if it's a double or imperial something, it's going to be higher than 7.5 or 8% ABV. That's kind of like, again, pretty safe in that range. If you're above that, you can probably be rest assured drinking something of the imperial nature. But again, I'm looking at the list right now on Untappd. It's double pastry stout, double white stout, pumpkin beer. There it is. But there's imperial brown ales, imperial pilsners, imperial porters, and red ales, and double black IPAs. So there's again lots of different ways to crack this this chestnut, if you will, if you're not a hop fan. But we are, so we're going to do it
the hoppy way. Yeah, and we're drinking a beer that has been on my kind of whales or wish list since time immemorial. Yes. It was called something else when I first heard about it. And Harrison might have a little bit of insight into that story, or at least what we can legally share.
Right.
So today on the podcast, we're drinking from New England Brewing Company, G-Bot, their Imperial or double IPA. Which looks exactly like a G-Bot. Beautiful can. The artwork on here is steeped in lore, especially the original artwork, which is no longer on this can. So it's listed as an Imperial double IPA, so it's going to qualify for this 2X or double badge at 8.5% ABV, and conveniently they list 85 IBUs. So I'm going to expect a little bit of a bitter awakening here on Untappd. This beer ranks 4.31 with over 100,000 ratings. That's sick. That's amazing.
I know, right?
And the brewers, New England Brewing Company, tells us the beer, the bot, the legend, this sought-after double IPA packs in a whole mess of hops in order to churn out a bombastic citrus taste full of orange peel, mildly dank whiffs of pine, and a deceptive, easy-flowing flavor. There's just enough haze in this one to satisfy the hopheads, while it's not too bitter or crazy for first-timers to enjoy this fruity brew as well. They load it up with a bunch of hops, especially going back in time, even 5 years. Columbus, Citra, Simcoe, Mosaic, which is becoming, I think, one of my favorite hops. Mosaic's great. And now that's enough talking from John. I got a beer can to open. Harrison, you've maybe had a sip already? I don't see any on your mustache, but how's it treating?
Yep. It's hitting the spot. So this is, and I've had this beer before. As many of you know, I started my kind of brewing career in New England. I'm from New England. I brewed down the road from these guys at a brewery just the town over, drink a lot of this stuff. So I'm happy to be re-drinking it, re-enjoying it, all that jazz. So, but today's first sip, yes, it's as described. It's like a kind of a dank, cantaloupe, pine, citrus thing. It's so good, but also still somehow smooth. But I will say, one of the things about this beer that stands out to me is it's got that old school West Coast thing where it's like fruit happening, and then a little bit of bitter, and then it's smooth, and then it's bitter again. It's like a surprise final, like it's still on your tongue. That smoothness was only there for a moment. There's just too much hop powder in this guy to say, nah, you're not getting away that easy. The bitterness is going to be here for a minute. So just lean into it, you dummy. And I'm happy to every time. So that's my first sip. But John, what's going on over there? What's happening? Talk me through it.
I think you described the journey that happens. I'm already 2 sips in.
Still there, just hanging out.
bitter good morning, like welcome to Gbot. Here's a little bit of a tinge of some bitterness, but then the fruit takes over.
Yeah.
And I think you nailed it with, I mean, there's a couple of different flavors you could construe here, but for me, the one that sings loudest is the cantaloupe. Then there's a little bit of citrus, but that cantaloupe kind of fades into citrus, and then it's like grapefruit rind where that bitterness starts to take over.
Man.
And it subdues the moment you swallow. You're like, that was a great sip, and then all the bitterness comes rushing back. It's like eating flaming hot Cheetos. Like you can't stop eating. You need to keep going to quell the bitter.
That's it. That's exactly right. And that's what I remember of like West Coast IPAs from 10 years ago. It's just that like the bitterness just hangs around, and you don't find it everywhere these days. So every time I do, I get excited, and then I drink it too fast, and then I'm, well, whatever. We'll see on the news. Not tonight, hopefully. Oh my gosh. And there's some cool history here. So let's dive into that for a moment. So as John alluded to in the beginning, and if you've been a beer fan for a hot minute, you've probably heard about this because Gbot, which was formerly Gbot, made international news a couple years ago and had to undergo a name change. But before that, it used to be called Gbot, and the kind of origin from the brewers themselves, pretty funny story from Craig and Rob, who Craig does a lot of the artwork. Rob's one of the founders. When asked where did the name come from, they said pretty simple. It was originally Gandhi as a robot, as an India Pale Ale. The immediate reference point and geographic tie-in is well-known cool guy and father of the country, Mahatma Gandhi. And as the beer was in a metal can, a slight tie-in is made with robots being metal. So, and then he mentions this, add in the universal law of robotic coolness, and well, you get Gbot. And I guess this was like his pitch to the brewing staff and like the everyone else in ownership, and the room was just like dead silent. Like, what are you talking about? What is the universal law of robotic coolness? Which, as they go on to explain, is kind of he lives his life by many codes and laws, and one of them is you make anything a robot, it becomes cooler. So a squirrel is boring, a robot squirrel, is it here to kill me? Is it here from the future? Like, now you have a story. So there's something's happening with that. So I agree with him there. It was a law of robotic coolness. And then so many years later, though, after being called Gbot for a while, I guess one of the relatives of the Mahatma Gandhi, their family kind of found out about it. And turns out Gandhi was all about abstaining from booze in his life. So having him be on a can of beer maybe didn't make the most sense. So, Nebco, or New England Brewing Company, as they're known locally, it's just Nebco. They were cool with it and, changed it to just Gbot, but leaving the cool kind of peace sign robotic hand as he gets swallowed into the metallic pile of junk beneath him. There is an ode to what once was, and of course, the name itself. So, interesting story. Funny how it all began, and everything's all cool now. And not the first.
That's one of the I think one of the coolest parts about you made a beer and you got to come up with this cool name. Yeah. But there's a lot of people trying to end my cool names and all the ones that I come up with. It seems like it's a really difficult task to come up with a cool name that sticks.
Yeah.
They've run into trouble another time.
I know. Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of a testament to, they've been doing this since 2001. So 20 years as of today. And when you're and that's not early on, we're not talking about 1980 here, but it was kind of a pivotal point in craft beer when a lot of craft breweries were closing. What the craft consumer was kind of changing, as we just talked about with Vinny, like around a similar time, kind of this idea of a double IPA was emerging, and hops and all that fun stuff that you and I kind of lived and drank through. There was a lot of change though. And so when you're one of the first breweries to do stuff, sometimes you find out the hard way that you can't do those things. And so Gbot was one example. They have another beer called Imperial Stout Trooper that has a stormtrooper on the logo of it from Star Wars, of course. they got sued by Lucasfilm, who sues everybody, but still did, saying you can't use a stormtrooper on your beer. And so they didn't have to change the name, but they had to change the logo slightly. And it's pretty funny. I won't give it away. You can look it up on Untappd. But they kind of obscured in a comical way the Stormtrooper's face on Imperial Stout Trooper, which is an Imperial Stout of theirs. And then actually last year changed it again for 2020. That Stout Trooper has a mask on, which is fitting. So, no stranger to kind of find out the hard way where the line is or whatever. But a bunch of cool guys who roll with it and, make the right decision at the end of the day, which I applaud them for. And they made a really important kind of point of this, jumping back to GBOT, that like when they change the name, that's all they change. Like this is the same beer it's been since they dialed in the recipe. When it was Gandhi Bot, it wasn't like an opportunity to switch stuff around or anything like that. Same beer. And for me, from my memory, this has tasted the same for the better part of 10 years or so since I remember drinking it first. So happy about that because it still tastes kind of like the past. It's like a throwback that someone made last week, which is kind of wild that beer can do that. My T-shirts that are throwbacks are falling apart and they're old and they just get old and they decompose. These beer recipes, though, they've been around. If it's largely the same, great. I can travel back in time whenever I want. As I'm doing right now and forward slightly.
Doc Brown in a can without 8.5 ABV instead of 88 miles per hour. There's probably a beer remake coming soon.
Ooh,
and these guys, New England Brewing, steeped in history. They're from New England, as the name implies. Were they? I know anyone listening, I hope you're aware of the beer called Fuzzy Baby Ducks,
right?
Which is also held in pretty high regard. Were these guys around for like the New England IPA? Were they part of that kind of trend or I don't know, capitalizing on some of the fame there while keeping GBOT alive?
Yeah, I mean, they absolutely were. And again, like I was kind of brewing in Connecticut during like this, certainly during when New England IPAs went from just being brewed in New England to now every brewery in the country and in the world was like trying to recreate them. Like I remember being a brewer in New England and going, holy cow, like, kind of worried that people may try to sneak into our brewery on brew day when we made our New England IPA, and I got to figure out what magic we were doing or whatever. That was real conversation about that, of kind of like no cameras in the brew house. Not that we were like doing magic or whatever. It was just, just being overabundance of caution. So in my kind of mind's eye or my memory is, yes, they were really a big player in taking that style, having fun with it. They're doing it their own way. So obviously, like for me, and we've talked about this, for most people, like The Alchemist is kind of like the godfather of that style. Treehouse as well. Like, there's kind of a handful of breweries that really you can kind of say we would not be here, without New England IPAs wouldn't exist without them. And New England Brewing Company is one of those, and they kind of, again, did their own thing. Fuzzy Baby Ducks is a good example. Supernaut is another one. Coriolis is another. All kind of those hazy New England style IPAs. But the twist that Nebco adds to this whole equation is that they really focused on single hop New England IPAs, which is really cool. So it wasn't just throw a bunch of hops and a bunch of wheat and mess with your water chemistry and boom, we got hazy beer. It was, let's take this kind of hazy baseline and just feature Citra hops, which is what's in Fuzzy Baby Ducks, or Mosaic, which is all that's in Supernaut, or Galaxy, which is all that's in Coriolis, from like the first edition hops through the double dry hops. They're all single hop beers, which is also another thing you see often enough, but that was really kind of one of their hallmarks, was great hazy New Englands, but also if you want to know what a Citra hop tastes like, just find Fuzzy Baby Ducks. If you want to know what Mosaic's all about, find Supernaut. And I remember telling people that who were like really curious about beer and like, where do I start and what do all these hop names mean? It was like, just go to New England Brewing Company for the afternoon and get a bunch of flights And that's a great way to find out what kind of hops you like, or maybe don't, because they're still going to have so many beers on that will feature just one. And that was really cool. First time I come across that in person, and I thought it was such a simple but genius approach to doing that.
Like a tasting panel to hops, which we get people asking us about that frequently.
Sure.
When I was a bartender, like, what's the difference between Citra and Mosaic? I mean, sometimes nothing, and sometimes a whole lot.
Yeah.
But tasting them, if you guys listening, if you have like a favorite single hop featured beer, let us know in the comments or on social media. I think it's really cool when breweries do that, and you can, like Harrison said, you can drink Citra with Fuzzy Baby Ducks. You can drink Mosaic with Super Knot, and then you're not just comparing beers, but you're hopefully figuring out, like, okay, I need to chase more Galaxy hops. I really like this.
I'll be there with you. Yes, exactly right. Yeah, so cool.
And while you're chasing Galaxy hops through the solar system, through the universe, I wish I knew how those works. Like, you have city, you have state, you have country, you have like solar system, greater solar system, immense. So I don't know.
A bunch of the void for a while, and then there's something else. Yep, no one knows.
The place where no one can hear you scream, and it smells like burnt steak.
That's it.
What about this badge? If people are chasing this badge, is there some common beers that we see people unlocking this? My guess preemptively is that IPAs are going to win this category based on what I see in the shelves, but I'd be really happy to see something like KBS from Founders or something creep in here as well.
Yeah. I mean, and you'll probably be pleasantly surprised, maybe, but also pretty spot on. As a reminder, so all you have to do, 5 different beers with the style that contains Imperial or Double in a style name. That's it. A lot of people have done this. 1.2 million plus unlocks of this badge. Pretty impressive. And it really, looking over the list of the top 10 beers that have unlocked this the most, it kind of tells the tale of like craft beer from like 2000 to 2010 almost. It's like a lot of classics in here. The number one beer is 90 Minutes from Dogfish Head. So yes,
it's a great beer.
The ultimate shower beer, because you get out of the shower and you're ready to go. Your night's halfway done. So a lot of summers. I've already shared those stories here, but so that's number one. And then after that, changed gears totally, but still kind of sitting like a decade ago. Dragon's Milk from New Holland Brewing, the original. Now there's White Dragon's Milk.
We got to get that on the podcast.
I know that beer is kind of responsible for introducing lactose into Imperial stouts. That, like, they were one of the first to do it. So you're right. We should talk about that and kind of share that story. After that, no surprise, Heady Topper. We're just talking about The Alchemist, Sip of Sunshine, a little on the newer side, but still Lawson's is one of those names that's important in the whole New England conversation. But Planet of the Elder, Ruination 2.0 from Stone, which
Ruination's a bitter. That's Stone's middle finger to me. The first time I drank it.
Yeah. I mean, named appropriately, you won't be able to taste anything for the rest of the night, but that's part of the experience. After that, a Drinking Socially veteran, Old Rasputin, which great beer, higher ABV, but as we also discovered that episode, high IBUs too, which not unlike a lot of other Imperial, like Russian Imperials, just to hold up to that malt profile. KBS is in here, Boom Sauce from Lord Hobo, and then Stone's Wakaveza, which is their kind of crazy like milk coffee stout, right?
I think it's Christmas, but it's like spiced. It's like a spiced stout. It was really cool. You were like ping ponging from West Coast to East Coast down that list of big unlocks. That was awesome, man.
Mm-hmm.
Have you?
Good stuff.
I assume I assume most of us listening have had one or two of those as well to help level up the 2X badge. Are there any on that list, Harrison, that you haven't had?
Ooh, well, no, I don't think so. What about you?
Feather in your hat.
Yeah.
I am the same as you. I think I've had all of those. 90-minute Dragon's Milk, Heady. No brag. I had Heady shipped to me in a warm box, but I've had it. Sunshine, Pliant. Yeah, that's a great list though. Like
Really
it
is.
takes me back to the early days of drinking craft. Boom Sauce was probably the one I had to work the hardest to get.
Yeah. Yep. And now it's moving. I mean, Lord Hobo's growing like crazy, and they're opening up new breweries all over the place. So kudos to them. But yeah, that's probably one of the newest members to that list, which is awesome too. It just speaks to how quick they're growing and how cool those guys are. We enjoyed their Doom Sauce last season, a playoff Boom Sauce. They're kind of the black IPA version of it. But all right, cool. So a lot of great beers out there. You guys are enjoying some great ones as you unlock this badge. Let's turn and look at ourselves. John, how are you doing on your journey through the 2X badge? Where are you at?
This is a badge I'm happy, I'm proud of. It's not one that I'm embarrassed about, although I feel like I should be doing better still. But you know, I was raised Italian. You should always be doing better. I am on this badge. I'm at level 80. Wow. 405 2X beers I've checked in. The first one goes way back to March 2015, where it was Troegs Nugget Nectar and an Imperial Red, I think it's listed. So I didn't even know what I was doing at the time checking it in, but I was happy to start my journey with Nugget Nectar. I still look forward to that beer. And the most recent level up is a stout double stack from Great Notion. So yeah, just heavy ABV beers. That's one of the things I like. What about you, Harrison?
Yes, I know. This is your world again, not so much mine. But before you said 80, I felt really good about my level. But now all things are relative, and I'm sinking in my seat in the back of the auditorium. But I can't do that. So I'm at level 27, almost a quarter, a little more than a quarter of the way there.
27. Yeah.
Hey, that's a new middle score. Yeah, so that's like 138 beers which is a lot for me. You know how I'm like the lower ABV stuff, but most recently had Imperial Trop Haze from Creature Comforts, which I really liked. That was kind of the Imperial version of Tropicalia, which is one of their most recognized beer. But I was jumping into my checking for this badge, looking at the first few. The first beer that I used to unlock it was Stone's Enjoy By for 2014, so in April 6th of 2014. But then right after that, there he is, Gandhi Botch. It's the second beer. And Coriolis from New England, which I just mentioned, is right after that. So I go back even farther than I realized with these guys in my Untappd history anyway, which is pretty cool.
Your problem may just be variety, because you're going to check into Gbot and it's not going to help you level up this badge. You're already there.
I just know what I like on the high end of things. You're right, John. That's it. That's what's happening.
And here you talk about Trop Haze from Creature Comforts. Man, remember all the times we mentioned chicken and waffles at the Atlanta airport? One day, I hope Chicken and Waffles is a verified venue so we can feature them on this podcast. That'd be a great full circle.
Then go there. Just get stuck in the Atlanta airport for a while and drink beer and eat chicken and waffles. That sounds like
have a connected flight. I'm just here.
I'm just here. My cab, my Uber is live in the parking lot. I'm just burning money, but needed to get some waffles and some chicken.
Well, while you're thinking about chicken and waffles and you're drinking Gbot for your, 15th time or something, think about this, Harrison. Here's a question for you.
Yes.
I want to know what you would rather. It's a would you rather question. That's where we're going. So, Harrison, would you rather, if you have to choose one, would you rather that everything in your life moves 2x double speed? So you're living life in fast lane. I don't know. There's probably a lyric to go. So let me slow down and rewind. Harrison, would you rather everything in your life goes twice as fast or twice as slow?
Well, I feel like everyone else in my family thinks I already move twice as slow. I'm the classic. I have to go to the bathroom when everyone is in the car already. That is me. I'll be out in a minute, and then I get a phone call from the driveway. Where are you? What are you doing? So I'm already. If I move in slow motion, I would one day realize I have living alone. So that'd probably be dangerous. 2 times as fast, though. I mean, right away, I think of Sonic the Hedgehog. Great power, great responsibility.
Great guy.
I mean, great, yeah, super cool dude, but that attracted a lot of bad guys that he could move that quick. Jealous of his power, wanted to abuse it for their own good. So on one hand, I'm kind of just like, well, you don't get that from the video games and the rings and the levels, but if you dig deeper into Sonic and his history and learn the prison he's really in is one of the mind and the soul, and he's just it's gift and his curse is the speed. So it's dangerous to. I see danger there, but I also see opportunity, which makes it probably even more dangerous. But I don't even know what I'm saying. But so right, if I'm weighing this, so I'm just slow. I already am. I'm already the last guy there, first guy to leave. So that's not helping me at all, or anyone else for that matter. I think I would be. I mean, life's already in slow motion for me. Perhaps, however, this is the exact question I need. If I moved 2 times as fast, maybe I'd be just at like normal speed, and that's kind of where I should be. Perhaps this is a wake-up call for me, and that life in the slow lane is over, and I just need to find that second gear. And if I'm moving twice as fast, I've already had that cup of coffee. It's kind of the danger of coffee as well. If I can go on a tangent briefly, feel like I love it. I drink it all the time. But because of that, I wake up at like a -2 every day, and coffee just gets me to 0. I need to like be at 0 going to +2. So this will help. This will help with that. So I'm going to say I'm going 2 times as fast. But that's just me and everything in my life. I mean, I guess I'll just adjust. I can't go slower. If I go slower, I've got nothing. I'll be hit by a bus or something. I won't make it across the road in time. I have horrible judgment. If anything, I should be faster when it comes to judging distances and speed of heavy things coming at me. I can't afford to be any slower. So I think I have to say 2 times as fast, John, if any of that. That was live feed for my brain. That was it. Unfiltered, unedited.
A lot of behind the curtain looks. If you want to sign up or volunteer to be Harrison's life coach, please email podcast@untappd.com.
Yep. I will charge you. Yeah. But any thoughts yourself, John, on faster or slower? Any reactions?
As I get older, I would say I want things to move in slow because I'm greedy, and I start to get like I see my mortality. This is getting really dark. Slow seems like you're buying twice as much time, although that's how I feel when I'm in line at the grocery checkout too. I feel like everyone else is going in slow-mo, and I'm the one that wants to get bagged and back in the car.
2 things, right? Yeah, 2 things.
Everybody is here right now buying beer and 1 stick of unsalted butter. Let us get out of here quickly.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely
right. There's probably not. I wouldn't mind either. If I played double speed, I'd probably want to try and be a basketball player, and then they'd look at me and they'd laugh, and that'd be the end of that. So I showed them my speed, Sonic style.
Yeah, Sonic style. Just careful. Someone films out their phone, it goes virtual, and then Dr. Doom or whoever is going to find you and try and steal your rings. Or I watched the Sonic movie from about 2 rooms away. I caught half the story.
There's a movie?
There is a movie. Jim Carrey's in it. Good time.
Where do I live?
Well, you just don't have kids running around all the time demanding something to stimulate them every 13 seconds. So
true.
You missed out on these movie. It's not
watch it in half speed. Right. That's the real answer. Make your kids watch their movies in half speed, so you don't have to go rifle through as much.
Right.
You still make them watch it on VHS tapes, or they? Yeah, that's probably not. John, you're old.
They wouldn't know what that was. They would have no idea what to do with that.
Figure this out. When it works on the TV, you can go to college.
Right. I need an extra long nap one day. That's what I'll do. Here's a VHS player and a tape. Yeah. There's TV inside this box. If you can figure it out, you have TV. I'll see you in 9 hours.
Is that what you're looking for?
That's a game show 30 years from now.
Long tape. Yeah. Seriously.
How did our parents do it?
Get to the next track in this cassette.
Oh, you're right. You're probably whatever. Yeah, we got 5 different good TV shows. Half came out of that, but that's our life. We're just idea generators, and then we forget them 20 minutes
Yep.
later. So
Good
really, I
thing
just
they're
like,
recorded.
yeah, right. If only there was a way. I wonder if we'll be able to
Harrison
remember.
wants to go faster, and John wants to go slower.
Right.
There's a lesson in the middle there, right? Just appreciate the speed in which you live, slow or fast.
Slow or fast. Stay in your lane. It really, if anything, I wish I could remember 2 times as many things. That's the 2x I want.
That wasn't the question. Don't break the would you rather. Yeah, we can't have you remembering to bring beer to the podcast and a glass at the same time.
Right. That's right. We'd get started too early. We'd be free too soon. Efficiency has its drawbacks, I'm told. One day I'll find out, maybe. But until then, I'll just have to wonder. But what I wanted to wonder about is today's verified menu highlight of the week, because John's going to tell us about it right now. Where are we going? What's happening?
I've got one ready, and I think it's. I want to give myself a pat on the back. I will if you're watching on YouTube, because I think this is a cool one. The venue I want to feature is called Texaco Tequila Bar. They're in Hamden, Connecticut, nearby New England Brewing Co. And they serve G-Bot, and that's why I want to feature them on this episode. But also, I was recently on my yearly vacation, which is a 3-day weekend, right? But I was recently celebrating my wife's birthday, and we were going out with some friends and in-laws and everyone. And not everyone that was going out was a big beer fan. So when I was like, we should visit this brewery or this place, I got kind of pushed down, and we ended up visiting a cocktail bar. And they had great cocktails. Raise your hand if you don't like whiskey, and then just go ahead and smack yourself with it. Whiskey's great. This place had great cocktails, and they had a couple of lagers, like literally the things you would see on a Super Bowl commercial.
Yes.
But what I really wanted was I wanted to visit someplace like Texaco, where they're a tequila bar, first and foremost, a beautiful cocktail list, but they also care about their beer. And that's what I get sometimes when you go to that cocktail bar and they're like, oh yeah, we got Miller Lite and Bud Light if you want it, or we have these $15 prestigious amazing cocktails, but it's like they don't even care about beer. Texaco seems to nail that. Like I said, they've got G-Bot on draft. They've got a beautiful draft list. They're featuring local Connecticut breweries. So it's like the best of both worlds. And as we get used to going out in real life and celebrating Wednesdays again with our friends in real world bars. If you have to go to one of those real world bars and everybody's talking about smoky tequila and cocktails, but you want to check it in and earn a badge, go to Untappd, look for a local place that cares about beer, check out their menu. And that way your friends can drink margaritas and you can drink a margarita gosa. That's my pitch. Harrison, anything to say about Texaco?
Yeah, I love this place. It used to be called Micro, and it was just a craft beer bar, but now it's Texaco. And again, as you said, very well highlighting the tequila and cocktails in big ways, but also food. I mean, they've smoked jambalaya burritos, which is amazing. The elote street corn, which is one of my favorite things to watch make they do it right on the gas grills, and also obviously enjoy. So much food, and the cocktails, they're pretty amazing. It looks like the Oaxaca with the devil is mezcal, ginger beer, lime juice. I mean, that's I love on a hot day or a cold night. Doesn't matter. Tequila is always a good time. Mezcal is delicious. I mean, they do it right, but it's thought, thorough food, drinks, cocktails, beer. I mean, it's all taken care of there at Texaco. So if you're near Hamden, you haven't checked it out, check it out. Make a trip. You're passing through, grab some G-Bot from Nebco and go out for some smoked jambalaya burritos. Not too far away at Texaco, and you'll be having a great evening. In fact, I'm super jealous that people can do that. They live in Hamden whenever they want, but that's life.
It is. And no shame on your cocktail game, but it's nice to be able to drink whatever you want.
Exactly.
Which is why I don't go to France. No, it's a different story. Speaking of drinking whatever you want, Harrison, it's been a long week, man.
Ooh.
What comes to mind when I ask you, what was the best beer you drank last week?
Best beer. This is an easy one. So I've been enjoying, not as last week, but for a little while now, Something Cold from Edmonds Oast. So that's the name of the beer. Something Cold. This gives me a giggle still. It's a blonde ale. We got to talk to the Edmonds Oast guys a little while ago through the Lowe's virtual beer hunt event that John and I hosted, and hear the backstory of this, which is probably what you're all guessing. A lot of people came in a hot South Carolina day to Edmonds Oast and wanted something cold to drink, kind of like a lager-ish beer. And so they made this, which is not a lager, it's a blonde ale, but it's become kind of my beer of the summer. It comes in big 16-ounce pounders, and it's delicious. We just bought a house, so there's lots of like yard work and housework, and I'm on the roof, and it's 95 degrees, and I'm melting. And the day ends with one of these inhaled in about 13 seconds. And I have this really cool, huge koozie that I can fit it in. A 16-ounce can koozie with their, Gary, I think his name is. Their
Edmonds Oast artwork is amazing.
They got it figured out. So I've been enjoying that. Leave it to me to find my beer of the summer in August, though. But whatever, I found it. It's still the summer. It counts. And I'm going to make up for not drinking it all summer for the next month or 3, because we do live in North Carolina. It's kind of summer until it's Christmas, but which I still forget each year. So glad to have something cold.
The snow didn't come. It's still humid.
Right. It's more like, I can't wait to wear my flannel shirt. Oh, I'll wear it in February for 1 week. That's great. So that's a good week too. We'll drink a lot of stouts then. But John, what was your best beer of the week? And I say beer, but
it was, I guess we could say beer or malternative if you watched us at Untappd Go Hard Festival. It's Untitled Art makes it. Untitled Art makes amazing beer. If you've ever had anything from them, you're probably shaking your head. If you haven't had anything from them, I'm sorry, because they're talented. Yep. But they also make seltzers. And I'm on the seltzer train. I am ready to go. If someone leaves, I will take over conducting. Hopefully, Untitled Art continues driving. But the beer I drank, the malternative, the seltzer I drank from them is part of their Florida seltzer lineup. They do a bunch of different flavors. The one I fell in love with most recently is their pineapple mango.
Ooh.
Dude, words. I don't have the words to describe seltzers yet. They're like the first time I drank a New England IPA. I mean, yeah, you got your Claws and your Trulies, and sure, your, if you will, Bud Lights of seltzer. No pejoratives intended. But Untitled Art, Boulevard has a seltzer lineup. There are breweries that are making seltzers that are damn incredible. Yep. And I didn't realize it until I started drinking them. This one from Untitled Art, I'd buy 1,000 if I could. I'd invest in it if I could. Here's $17. Let me know if that helps you guys at all. But no, it was amazing. If you can find any of the seltzers from Untitled Art, I'd implore you to drink them. I'll be looking for them. Yeah, I know those guys. Everything they do is impressive, and it blows my mind. And I read the description, and I'm like, what in the world? How will that all make sense in this can sometimes? And then it does. So hats off to them for, kind of finding the edge every week, finding the new frontier every time they make something, whether it's beer or an alternative. So I'll have to keep an eye out for that one for sure, while we still have these hot days ahead of us. But that's going to do it for us this week. Thanks again for hanging out today and entertaining me, kind of reminiscing, half foggy, half coherent memories, trying to figure out if I want to go fast or slow, but really just talking about Sonic and not remembering the question. Speaking of things to remember, though, make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, all those places. A Dream with John for John, Harry Beard for me. Other than that, thanks for listening. We're going to be back next week, and we're going to be speaking with the objectively cool folks from CLS Hop Farm. These are people that are growing El Dorado hops, which is a delicious hop. Stone's Delicious IPA, I think, makes a great job of featuring that, if I remember right. But we're actually going to be speaking with the people from a pretty cool brewing event that's going on the other side of the world from us that they're a big part of. So really looking forward to that episode, I guess, in a week from now.
That's it. But until then, cheers!